How the hell are you doing, Brainiacs? Long Island Iced Tea here, ready to talk progreps with you! Are you listening, Brainiacs? Are you listening, Brainiacs? Are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening, Brainiacs? I might just do the whole show chanting because NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool is fresh on my mind, and oh my god, the United Kingdom has taken over the world. A man called Wired's here. He'll tell you, social media, it was the #1 trend worldwide, Wired.
Oh, I am a man called Wired. Something like that, right? That's what kind of mood I'm in. It was a great show, a great weekend. Man, I haven't stopped singing, really, since this show started, honestly.
If you hate Wired, shoes off. If you hate Wired, shoes off. I did have my shoe off there.
Thanks, Long Island. I appreciate that. But it was one of the #1 trending things in the world Saturday afternoon. It was an amazing show. I will give you that. We'll talk about it here, I'm sure. But oh man, what a way for NXT UK to kick off its takeover career.
Yeah, and Saturday night, it was UK TakeOver, of course, but we're doing this show a day later. It's still fresh on my mind. It took over the week, and a week that was huge for professional wrestling. The return of Hulk Hogan to Monday Night Raw, AEW. Oh, I love pro wrestling. Oh, okay, I'm going to try not to do it. But what a week it was, and Brainiacs, we're going to cover it all today. Tweet it, read it, tout it, shout it, be all about it at the Brainbusters on Twitter, and hit us up and let us know what you're hyped for in pro wrestling. There's so much to be excited for in 2019, just a couple weeks away from the Royal Rumble 2. Oh my goodness. We also have
Dr. Second Royal Rumble? Only? The second? Royal Rumble
what do you mean?
2? Wow. This is only the second Royal Rumble. That's
2 weeks. What do you mean the second Royal Rumble?
Oh, got it. You said Royal Rumble 2. I'm just all lost. Got it. Sorry.
As well. I should start speaking. I think you're watching too much NXT UK,
I'm really
and you expect me to speak proper English.
2019 was my resolution to understand you all better, and I guess I'm starting on the wrong foot. Sorry, continue on.
Yes, very wrong. All right, let's get into it. All right, Brainiacs, it's going to be a big show. Dr. Calzones is on the unos and the doses. He's eating British tortas. Even though he hates Great Britain, he said he'd try some British. How are the British tortas treating you right now, Dr. Calzones? How do they taste? Oh, man. Oh,
he was singing, "Oh, bring me a torta."
Yeah, I don't think he meant those ones, though.
Yeah,
haggis tortas? Ugh. Spotted dick torta. Yikes. All right, well, Dr. Calzones, keep your mic off, and I don't want to hear or smell that. Let's start with this TakeOver Blackpool Wired. There's a lot to get to, but I want to do this because it's fresh in my mind, having watched it live on the WWE Network Saturday afternoon in the United States. I took notes. I was popping for certain things. First and foremost, the night starts off with an ode to the British Bulldogs. More teams, or just singles wrestlers even, need to wear tights and trunks together. Trunks over tights. Mustache Mountain looked good in a losing effort to Liverpool's #1. And now, Tag Team Wrestling's #1, Zach Gibson and James Drake.
Long Island, it was a very interesting look for Mustache Mountain. I agree, though. It was I sent you a message saying I really prefer the pants with the singlet, to be honest with you, but we'll see if that ever happens. But no, it was a great look, great way to start, great match, the second longest match on the card, and Mustache Mountain. I thought they were going to pull this out. I guess Zach Gibson and James Drake were just a little too much for them to handle.
Oh, Zach Gibson is Liverpool's #1, but you got to give it up to James Drake, the Huck Finn to Gibson's Tom Sawyer, as the one and only Nigel McGuinness puts it. How about the tope suicida into a doomsday device? Nobody saw it coming. That might have been move of the night.
Well, you're going to call that the move of the night? I mean, there were so many move of the nights, quote unquote, that we could make, but that was pretty good. It was fast paced. It was excellent tag team wrestling. You thought that Mustache Mountain had it a few times towards the end. They just couldn't pull it out until finally, James Drake who ended up getting the pinfall? I can't remember off the top of my head, but
hey, James Drake, ooh, I thought you had the move of the night. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember who got the pin, but he got the move of the night. And the first ever NXT UK Tag Team Champs, Zach Gibson and James Drake, even though Mustache Mountain looked good in a losing effort. And then we get would you say the shocker of the night?
Shock of the night? Yeah, yeah, straight shocker, I would say.
It was shocking. I mean, that son of a bitch, Jordan Devlin, who attacked someone in somewhere as elegant. Do you see the carpet at the Empress Ballroom in the lobby? Who would ever punch someone standing on that rug? And he did that to poor Travis Banks, the Kiwi Buzzsaw, before he even got to the locker room.
Yeah, that was uncalled for by Jordan Devlin, but he's been a menace to society since the the UK tournament way back when. I think it was 2017 now, right, Long Island? So he split the head of he's part of that 1-2 guy. I forget his name off the top of my head too.
Oh, anyway, remember how he was going by Martin Jones maybe in that one or something, but now
was it? Okay.
Of course he's Danny. He's Danny
Birch. Yes, that's what I'm saying. So Jordan Devlin, but getting showed up by none other than imagine this, Brainiacs. Imagine if Danielson, the Karate Kid, was being a jerk, and all of a sudden Mr. Miyagi came into the room and showed him who the hell was boss. That's what happened with Finn Balor showing up and taking over NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool. I mean, that was great. Great moment.
Well put, Wired. I think you're hitting the nail on the head there. That was insane. That was Finn Balor shows up like Mr. Miyagi, and he puts Jordan Devlin in his place. It's like, for some reason, Danny starts acting like one of the Cobra Kai, and he had to be straightened out, and that's what happened at NXT Blackpool. Finn Balor, really one of the most brutal coup de grace ever, too. There's no way Jordan Devlin does not have a cracked rib after that match.
Oh, no, and it just seemed throughout the entire match, there was a classic motto of, I taught you everything that you know, but I didn't teach you everything that I knew. I mean, it seemed like Finn Balor was just one step ahead of this man the entire match, and it proved, which basically seemed like an easy victory for Finn Balor.
Finn Balor shows up unexpectedly, beats on Jordan Devlin. Hopefully Travis Banks will get well soon. Moving on, we saw a no disqualification match between a man who shakes the camera when he walks. Bomber Dave Mastiff.
Okay, Long Island, we're going to go behind the curtain a little bit here. You started your education spree, and you went into a class called Natural Disasters earlier this week, and I told you that you need to start walking in there as if you were Typhoon or Earthquake. Well, you know what? I'm taking all that back, because you need to start walking in there as if you were Dave Mastiff. I mean, that was an incredible entrance. I mean, the man, he moves like a gazelle, but he's just so, he's so beefy, so meaty. I think what's his name would be great. From NXT, the tag team that's moving on, Heavy Machinery would be proud of this man for the amount of meat and beef that he brings to the table, because he's one big son of a bitch.
Dave Mastiff shaking the camera upon his entrance, finishing Eddie Dennis with an unbelievable bomber flip into a table. Great match, but let's not forget. Let's not just gloss over Eddie Dennis, who has some of the craziest facial expressions I've ever seen. Eddie Dennis looks like he probably has tortured small animals in the past and/or killed a real human being. He is a crazy looking dude, and he's very strong. He pulled off a lot of really power moves for a guy who he's tall and thin, but deceptively strong, lifting up the Bomber the way he did. But in the end, the Bomber gets the victory and proves that he is the biggest monster in NXT UK. But I think we could still say safely Eddie Dennis is the biggest psychopath in NXT UK. Nobody could touch him. Every picture they showed on the still screens hyping this match up was terrifying.
I feel like Eddie Dennis and Tyson T-Bone just go out for drinks afterwards. Just two men that you don't want to see or be near, or just the complete havoc between those two.
Yeah,
but you're right, Eddie Dennis.
If I'm just looking at those two, Tyson T-Bone, they're both going to probably both hit on you and your best friend's mom who went out for drinks that night. And Tyson T-Bone's going to start living with your mom after that night. And Eddie Dennis is probably going to slap your mom around or come into her house and slap you around. He's scary.
He's a scary man. But you know what? He seemed like he had the match under control at certain points of it all. But at the end of it all, Dave Mastiff was just too massive for this man. And you're right, that table, I felt like they were going to go through the ring with the amount of impact that had. But it was a great match, great no disqualification match. I didn't know too much building up to this match, Long Island. You watched more of the NXT UK than I have, but it seemed pretty interesting.
Oh, I watch me some NXT UK every single week. I'm watching it, and so is Vince McMahon. Are you watching Vince McMahon? And yes, of course, Vince McMahon did tweet. Great chant during that evening. And Vince McMahon tweeted, "Yes, I watched. Hashtag NXT UK TakeOver. Yes, it was awesome." So it's official. Even Vince McMahon tweeting about it. #1 trend worldwide. I would say that NXT UK TakeOver was a smash hit, a smashing success. And that match between Eddie Dennis and Dave Mastiff was my favorite match until the next match when Toni Storm pulled out the unexpected victory over Rhea Ripley, ripping the NXT UK Women's Championship away from the giant Australian. Unexpected there. The yanking of the hair into Storm Zero. What a finish to that match.
This match, I mean, I couldn't tell you. I was pulling so hard for both of these women. I could not make a decision towards the end of this match. It finally came.
I know what you mean.
A decision, yeah. and I decided to pull harder for Toni Storm, and she pulled it out for me. And Toni Storm came out with the victory. I mean, this was in Long Island. Did you watch the backstory behind all this? I know you've seen it, but the last match they had, Toni Storm looked like she was broken in two.
Couldn't feel her legs.
Couldn't feel her legs. Said she went numb. Great retribution for this woman. Toni Storm, the new NXT UK Women's Champion. Hats off to both of these women, though. I think Toni Storm's like 23, Rhea Ripley's 22. So this is just the beginning of what's probably going to be a lifelong rivalry. I mean, these women have had 2 matches so far on WWE television. This is probably 2 of 100. This is the Randy Orton, John Cena of women's wrestling.
But maybe even better, and could go theoretically for even longer. Maybe for the next 30 years, this will be the women's main event of every NXT takeover, and I don't think any of us would mind. My legs went numb watching this match, but that's only because I was on the toilet watching it. Thank God for the WWE Network being on mobile devices. Quick pro tip, Brainiacs: never, ever eat a buffet, smorgasbord, whatever you want to call it, right before a takeover event. I had to be running in and out, but thank God I had it on the iPad. I watched this one Jim Ross style, and that match was tremendous. I really did think at one point in this match, Toni Storm was out of it and was not going to get up, and they were going to have to stop the match, but she, out of nowhere, game-changing headbutt, and things reversed into her favor. Congratulations to her. That was my favorite match of the night until we got to the NXT UK Championship match, which went on for a grueling,
it's still going,
brutal, inhuman 34 minutes.
This match is still going. This match is still going.
There isn't a move they haven't done. There's not a move they haven't done in this match. I'm just making up chants, but they can all be made up. They did every wrestling move ever invented. All the chants.
And some that worked. I will say that too.
I'd say all of them worked in the end, but more of them worked in Pete Dunne's favor. He gets the win over Joe Coffey, and I love the match. It was a true testament to the gas tanks in both of these competitors. That showed what the UK scene's all about, and that is endurance and the willingness to do whatever and fight through pain. And they both did it. Pete Dunne wins. Before we get to the stuff after the match, what were your thoughts on that 34 minutes and 15 seconds, Wired?
Well, to think that Joe Coffey was overlooked for the UK tournament back in 2000. I just looked up the date. It was 2017, right? 2017. I can't imagine. Where were they looking to not involve this man in that tournament? I mean, he had so much to bring. He left it all out on the line for this championship. Pete Dunne continues to be the longest reigning WWE champion in the modern era they're calling it. I can't even remember, but
longest championship reign since the birth of Hulkamania.
And that's saying something. If you're gonna quote, if you're gonna put Hulkamania in the same sentence as your name, that's a big accomplishment. Peter Dunne, no longer. It is Pete Dunne, and is it Pete Dunne or Pete Dunne? I don't even know. But he showed why he's this champion. You know, this title hasn't been defended too much, but when he has, he's actually defended it with pride, and he keeps moving on.
No, it was Pete Dunne versus Joe Coffey, not Peter Dunne versus Joe Kofi. It was Pete Dunne and, I mean, the Iron King. The headbutts these two guys were giving each other at one point, shotgun headbutts into each other, and then they both smashed each other to the floor. I mean, both of them flew off the top rope 15 feet to the floor multiple times. Multiple dangerous power bombs. We saw a Mount Everest German suplex that was kicked out of. The bitter end was kicked out of, I think, 2 or 3 times. Rolled away from as well. This was goosebumps. Just thinking about the match. I have goosebumps. Are you listening? Brainiacs. British wrestling. British wrestling. That's what it was all about. That made me, as an American, want to buy a ticket to fly to Great Britain and purchase a ticket to see any kind of wrestling because they know how to do it over there.
They do. They know how to do it. The fans know how to do it as well. And Long Island, what would you think of the pace of this entire pay-per-view?
Oh,
it was
yes.
Incredible.
The pace of Tyler Bate, especially if I'm talking about who had the best pace during the evening. Tyler Bates' pace, I think, is unmatched in all of wrestling worldwide. It's hard to find someone who could keep up with him. Maybe only Peter Dunne can. The great pace from Tyler Bate. In terms of fitness, the champ is the champ because he's just plain fit. He's got the fitness level down, and that allows him to go at that 34-minute pace. Joe Coffey, he's got a big gas tank. He's very big and strong, but in the end, he wasn't able to avoid his fingies getting caught and tapping out.
You know what, Long Island, you say in the end, but I mean there was something else and something big, something that I even recognize as major in NXT UK and for the WWE. Long Island, you alluded to it earlier, but should we bring it up? Do you want to bring it up?
It was a big debut on NXT
UK.
Walter showed up in the ring, and he's challenging Peter Dunne. Wow, what a shocker! Walter, the big Austrian, who looks like a very young Austrian Stan Hansen, if you ask me. He's an indie darling, the guy everybody wanted to see WrestleMania weekend last year. He is now in NXT UK. He showed up wearing a real badass ring general robe. He kicked Joe Coffey in the face, and then he looked at Pete Dunne and his championship, and he said, "All right, Pete." And then he walked out of the ring. Walter making the appearance. For you Brainiacs who don't know who Walter is, I highly recommend you checking out his matches, whether it's in Progress Wrestling or just or he's been in PWG. YouTube it, Google it, check out Walter matches. Get ready because he's about to bring it to NXT UK. This big Austrian, the Austrians that they haven't had a lot from their own backyard to root for. We met some of the Austrians at a WrestleMania way back when here at Brainbuster Radio. You might have seen them on one of our videos, and they were all rooting for Cesaro back then. But now Walter is their guy, and Walter is ready to dominate. He might take over all of Europe.
one country at a time. He might do it, but I'm gonna have to go back and I know the name. I haven't seen too many of his matches, but I know that he's a big deal, and that's a huge signing. I don't know if did anybody even know this was like gonna happen? Was it even out there? Did Uncle Dave say anything? I thought he was still somewhere, stuck in a bingo hall, wrestling under no air conditioning. I guess I missed the memo. Maybe.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that was. I heard rumblings that Walter was thinking about joining WWE. I did not expect this at the end of the night at the Empress Ballroom, but Walter is here in WWE in NXT UK. Congratulations to everybody who put that show on, because that is going to be tough to top.
Saint too.
Johnny Saint holding up the tag belts like they were the heaviest things in the world at the beginning of the night. That might have been my favorite moment. He looked like he was pulling the sword out of the stone, and he had the tag team championships, and he almost fell back. But then he remembered I'm Johnny Saint, and he got his legs under him, and he put on a great show. One of the best general managers in all of sports.
It was I think. I mean, behind who? Now that Paige is gone, he might be the best general manager in sports.
Big, strong, old guy. Big, strong, old guy. Big, strong, old guy. Okay, sorry. Enough with the chanting. Let's take it back to the United States, Brainiacs. Tweet it, read it, tout it, shout it, be all about it. If you're in the UK, if you're a UK Brainiac, and show us your pride and thoughts on NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool. Now on to what happened earlier in the week, and that was All Elite. All Elite. Wired. We thought about doing a shotgun, special alert BBR, but we said, no, we'll wait and let's collect our thoughts. Let's not overreact instantly. And now that you've had a week to think about All Elite Wrestling and what they're going to be all about, where are you at? Where are you standing with AEW?
Probably worse than I was when I first heard about all this. What was it?
That's not very good then, because I was talking to you live during the press conference and you weren't digging it like I was.
Hold on, I gotta wipe my tongue down real quick.
What is wrong with you?
It was something that didn't need to happen. I'll say that.
Oh my God!
And all I could think about that entire time is Double J sitting up there asking for gold. That's all I could think about in the entire time.
Okay,
I'm not feeling it, Long Island, and maybe I don't know why, but something seems off about this entire thing.
Okay, all right. I know where you're coming from.
Change my mind. Please change my mind. If you want to change my mind, I know where you're
coming from, and that's what Brainbuster Radio is here for. That's what I'm here. That's why we're here for each other. It's to help each other out in times of confusion like this. Brainiacs, in case you're living under a rock and you love pro wrestling and you still haven't heard the news, All Elite Wrestling is going to start in 2019. They're putting on a show in May, even. Double or Nothing, the sequel to All In. And it's going to go down at the MGM Grand Ballroom. MGM Grand Garden Arena, its official name, in Las Vegas. And that's May 25th, I believe, Wired, right? That's the date?
It's Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, so All Elite Wrestling, the sequel to All In, Double or Nothing. That's big news.
And I wasn't All In. I haven't even watched All In, to be honest with you, too. I'll tell you that much.
Okay, so you're coming from already an outsider's perspective, someone not believing in the movement that is All Elite. But then you see some of the other announcements that they're going to have a women's division. Brandy Rhodes is fronting this women's division. She's putting it together. And their first big signing is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, one of the most coveted female athletes out there.
Chief Brandy Officer is actually a pretty cool touch. I like the little name.
T-shirt I'm going to buy.
Okay. I find it hilarious that out of I think, look, there was a fatal four-way for the women's title, or some just for fun. I don't even know. Between women, it was Tessa Blanchard, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Is she a dentist? Is that what that DMD stands for?
Yep.
Chelsea Green and Madison Rain. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that they signed Britt Baker because she's the only one who isn't signed to another contract. Am I right? Am I wrong?
Well, I don't think that's why they signed her, but she just so happened to be the only one not working with another company right now. Only other one that might be available might have been Madison Rain. I don't know if she's contracted to Ring of Honor, but I want to say yes.
Well, and then, okay, I mean, sure. And then everybody's going to get paid equal? I mean, come on. That's not going to work.
Men and women will be paid equal when it comes to, entry-level positions. It's because obviously in professional wrestling, there's no way you could have an equal pay scale for men, women, or up, mid-carders and main eventers. That's just not happening. But entry-level positions, they did clarify, will have equal pay, which is great with All Elite. Wrestlers will have health care in All Elite. And All Elite Wrestling is going to do another show in Jacksonville, and All Elite Wrestling is bringing in a group from China that I had never heard of. And after they were announced at All Elite, I went and found some of the stuff that they do, this group that the Young Bucks talked about, and holy shit, is this going to be some insane action, high-flying, innovative kung fu shit we're going to see in All Elite Wrestling with the Chinese portion of the show, which I believe is called, correct me if I'm wrong, Orient Wrestling? Or what's the formal title? I want to say the preferred nomenclature properly here.
Here, I'll look it up so we're politically correct. Does that work for you? Because nobody
Oriental Wrestling Entertainment, OWE.
Okay, I mean, Long Island, no one. You're pulling. Look, they're putting scraps together to build a.
Okay, all right. You're not believing me yet. Okay, let me keep going, Wired. I'm still working here.
Okay.
Oriental. If you haven't heard of them, they announced.
We just say OEW. I don't want to get.
OEW is going to be. Yeah, I don't want to say anything that might hurt anyone's feelings. OEW, check them out. They've got guys that dress like monks and they do crazy kung fu, and they've got awesome athletes. Okay. You're not sold because you never heard of them? Fine. Then what if I told you Neville, aka Pac, is going to be in AEW, and he came out and he went face to face with the Hangman Adam Page, and they both said they want to be the first ever AEW champion. What would it be like if those two ever got in the ring, Wired?
I mean, this I'm sure they have at some point in their careers. I mean, it's not
never.
Right? Never. Come on.
Never.
Come on.
I doubt it.
Okay, sure. This seems like a 205 main event. Sure. Have at it, boy.
All right, fine. What if I was to tell you that AEW is backed by legitimate billionaires in the Khan family, and it is going to be treated...
Khans?
The Khans.
Oh,
K-H-A-N.
Like
No, K-H-A-N.
Oh, okay.
Like, Khan! Tony Khan. And... yeah, they've got lots of money, and this is going to be treated as seriously as they treat running the Jacksonville Jaguars and Fulham Football Club in the Premier League. Now, that's way more serious than, Jeff Jarrett trying to find funding by selling gold for a wrestling company.
No, I agree. I think there's a definite financial backing behind it all. Look, are you okay with there? Did you fall out? Did you fall out of your seat?
Sorry, I dropped some of the gold that I bought from Jeff Jarrett.
It's probably mine. Can you send me a picture? I want to know what it is. Okay, they got some money to back all this. That's great. It means there's going to be some long-term success, or I'll say a long-term plan in place, I'm sure, with all this. But nothing in – look, and you're going to allude to it in a few minutes because it's going to be the last thing that happened at the end of the show. But nothing that happened in this press conference made me say I'm excited for All Elite Wrestling because they just have one show really coming up. I mean, they have this Jacksonville show coming up, but did they even mention dates or anything for that one? I don't remember them saying anything.
No, they didn't.
So right now it's basically All In Part 2 with the hopes of having some more stuff after that.
But they have a long-term commitment.
They're not going to continue to happen.
But they have a long-term commitment from billionaires. They've got contracts signed with great athletes, including the first ever undisputed champion, Chris Jericho, is All Elite. Come on. All Elite is Jericho. Wired.
Oh, sorry. Did you want me to react to that?
Yeah, that's big news.
Every January, Chris Jericho seems to be surprised in something really big, right? Whether it be a Rumble or Wrestle Kingdom or now I guess AEW press conference.
And and the Rumbles and Wrestle Kingdoms are always good, so why wouldn't All Elite be good?
Because Chris Jericho wasn't the only superstar on those shows. Right? Come on.
Okay.
Look, I'll give it a chance.
You're so burnt out from Jeff Jarrett selling you fool's gold that you're feeling trepidatious and uneasy about this new exciting All Elite thing. I'm telling you, Wired, the water is warm. It feels good. Hop in, man. There's plenty of room. Enjoy it, the bubbles, because it's going to be great for everybody, fans and the wrestlers and anybody involved, because we're talking about billionaires with a B back in this thing. Not some hucksters from the South, not some Canadian media conglomerate. These are legit billionaires who are always succeeding financially with their sports franchises. And with this entity, I expect nothing else, especially by people taking it so seriously.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. This roster that they have right now, this roster that they put together, is that enough to get you to be All Elite in?
Absolutely.
Oh, come on. You're just saying that.
I'm not just saying that.
There's no way that this is enough to get you to go to All Elite Wrestling. If this is the card with these people, I mean, what? No. I saw.
You can't be
I saw
serious.
Christopher Daniels at the Social Security office the other day. I mean, come on, you can't be serious.
Well, you can't expect these athletes to be the only ones on the All Elite card.
Well,
That's what makes it exciting.
They didn't say anything else. So
you've got Joey Janela. You've got MJF.
Joey Janela hasn't been relevant since Matt Riddle took over his show, basically.
Joey Janela is worth the price of admission alone. Not to mention Penelope Ford. Good Lord.
It was more expensive to get home in an Uber from Joey Janela's spring break than it was to get into Joey Janela's spring break.
Exactly. You're talking about a bunch of people who believe in making wrestling affordable for wrestling fans. This is going to be great.
Oh, man. Sure. Okay.
Well, Brainiacs, don't let Wired shit all over your excitement. You know Long Island is super hyped for AEW. You should be too, because All Elite is going to be like All In, but I'd say even better. And there's going to be more.
You're like the kid if your parents wrapped you a bottle of ketchup for Christmas, you'd be excited to open it for some weird reason.
Yeah, it's Christmas and it's fucking ketchup. And if it's Heinz, I'm super pumped. And even if it's not, even if it's Hunt's, it's still red and it's going to make my French fries taste better. Especially
what that purple or green ketchup, like back when we were young. Remember that when they had like purple ketchup?
I don't remember that. I'm colorblind, but I bet that was cool.
Sorry. It was actually pretty cool.
All right, Brainiacs, let us know what you think of All Elite Wrestling. I'm Long Island.
All Elite Wrestling. So.
Yes, I'm Long Island Ice-T, and I'm here to say I am All Elite. I am ready for AEW. I can't wait for more announcements. I mean, you know how you know also that this is going to be a success? Conrad Thompson's involved, and everything he touches literally turns to money.
Except food.
What are you laughing about?
I said it under my breath because I couldn't say it out loud. Just move on.
Why can't you say it out loud? What is it?
Well, you said everything he touches turns into money, and I said except food.
What does that mean? I don't. Is that a fat guy joke?
Who was it that was talking so much shit to him? I couldn't even remember.
Maxwell J. Friedman.
That's who it was. MJF, sure. Him.
At least MJF.
Quoting Maxwell J.
It's if MJF's making fun of Conrad, that's fine. But we're fat guys. We can't be making fun of Conrad. What are you doing?
That's a good point. I do listen to Conrad every week, so it's okay. Like 4 times a week.
You were so burnt on whatever investment you put into Global Force Wrestling that you're even attacking your own members of your own fat fraternity. Wired. You need help. Brainiacs, we need to give Wired help. I think Wired's Brainiacs, I think Wired is just getting nervous because the Royal Rumble's coming up and he knows he's not repeating as Brainbuster Radio Royal Rumble champion. All right, Brainiacs. We need to talk about everything going on this week and everything that's going to go on this week. So without further ado, it is time for Brainbuster Radio Headlines. This week on Brainbuster Radio Headlines, Hulk Hogan is back in WWE, and more names are announced for the Royal Rumble match. This week, Brainbuster Radio Headlines is brought to you by Marburger Health Facilities. Marburger Health Facilities. They don't take any of your health insurance, but there is a very, very, very great chance that you will be treated if you are all elite. And I know every time I go to a Marburger Health Facility, they treat me free of charge because I'm all elite Wired. So you might want to rethink that, especially if you're going to be, I don't know, going eating breakfast burritos. Marburger Health Facilities are definitely going to be helping you out.
I really thought this was going to be brought to you by Marburger Sing-Along Chants Incorporated, but it's fine.
The Marburger Masked Singer on Fox.
Sure.
I think the deer is Johnny Saint. All right. Wired.
You are not watching that. You're watching that show, aren't you? You son of a bitch.
The Masked Singer?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I watch the clips. That's the good thing about it. You don't have to watch the whole thing. Clips are good.
Clips are good. YouTube, everybody. YouTube. What are we talking about?
All right. So first thing, big note, 205 Live returning to its normal time of Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. Brainiacs. So make that note in your calendars. Make sure you subscribe to the Marburger shared Google Calendar so you can know when every big wrestling event is happening right there on your own personal calendar. 205 Live back to Tuesday nights at 10. I cannot wait for that fatal four-way match at the Royal Rumble. SmackDown Live coming up this week. Rey Mysterio Jr. will look for another Canadian destroyer on Andrade Cien Almas, Wired.
That was incredible. That is something I'm definitely looking forward to. They've already met once on a one-on-one contest, I want to say, on free television. I think Paige put that together a few weeks ago, maybe even a couple months. But this is going to be great. Andrade got the best of Rey Mysterio this past week. So to see these two go at it again is going to be quite a treat. I'm going to get my popcorn ready for sure.
And also last week, it's a bummer Vin Man has limited dates, but I would have loved to talk to him about Hulk Hogan's promo last week. Do you see a promo in 2019 being better than the one Hulk Hogan cut about the tag team match up in heaven with Mean Gene Okerlund getting everybody riled up for it?
You know what, too? I've never seen someone hype up a match that will not be available. You don't see Hulk Hogan hype up too many things that are not available for some sort of profitable, avenue, and he did. It was a great promo. It was good to see the Hulkster back. It was unfortunate circumstances that brought him back, but again, if you want to go back and listen to what we had to say about Mean Gene, nothing but good things to see. I mean, to say about that man. So Hulk Hogan. He hyped it up, man. Wasn't it something that you almost wanted to go up there and watch yourself?
I mean, Hogan cut that promo, and then I almost went to the closest bridge to jump off just so I would be front row. But then I remembered then I wouldn't be able to go see that match. So unfortunately,
Macho Man Warrior versus Rowdy Piper and
Mr. Perfect.
Mr. Perfect, that's what it was. Yes.
Tutti Frutti, oh Rudy. Rest in peace, Mean Gene. The Hulkster is back.
Think about the call of that match. You'd have to watch that on TV with Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain. Oh
my God.
That'd be a great call.
I'm hoping we get more Hulkster on the microphone. Here's to him being involved much, much more. Also this week, Daniel Bryan last week cut a crazy-ass promo at the start of SmackDown and was throwing mustard at people and got the world talking about how crazy he is going anti-consumerism and eating meat. and using plastic. And I haven't really met anybody who thinks what Daniel Bryan says is correct, or at least the way he's saying it is correct. I mean, you could half believe some of the things make some sense, but he's just so rude and mean about it. But someone does support Daniel Bryan. Did you see this, Wired?
Someone? Who's this someone?
Well, it's on social media. I thought you would have caught it. Sami Zayn on Twitter tweeted out, "Consumerism exploits people's inadequacies and convinces them products will make them accepted and worthy of love. Many, therefore, fall into toxic patterns of overconsumption, which is bad for their health, but far worse for our planet. Thank you, Daniel Bryan, for trying to educate."
I think back in the day, El Generico and American Dragon went and had a beer after the American Legion and just were like, "Hey, let's talk about consumerism and why this is. Let's have beer out of recyclable cups and make sure that there's no carbon footprint."
They said, "We're going to take over WWE from within, and we're going to change people's minds about the environment."
You think their favorite show is Captain Planet?
Maybe on the Halloween episode of SmackDown.
Planet, he's our hero. We're going to take pollution back to zero. Right?
It's the singing episode of Brainbuster Radio. Hearth, Earth, Water. Daniel Bryan.
Fire. Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn. Oh man, I think there was something big on Monday Night Raw that I hope we're not going to look over with the women's division, right, Long Island?
I mean, this is, I'd say the big shocker going into the Rumble. Did not expect this to be one of the matches, but here we are when Ronda Rousey on the first ever edition of A Moment of Bliss was hyping up the unsung hero of the Raw women's division, the greatest in-ring performer. She's the best. She's the greatest. She's the Ramses of women. I thought she was going to say my good friend Natalya, but no, she said Sasha Banks. And then Sasha Banks went in there and we had the boss versus the bitch, with the winner getting Ronda Rousey, and now we get Ronda versus Sasha at the Rumble. I did not see this coming, and holy hell, this is going to, I think, steal the show. It might be better. It might have to be the last match on the card.
Long Island, do you remember back in 2014 when John Cena had the choice to pick his opponent for the WWE Championship, and he picked Daniel Bryan? That's the story, right? Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Was it 2013 maybe? And everybody said that he picked Daniel Bryan because he thought he could beat Daniel Bryan. Don't you think that's why Ronda said Sasha Banks' name? Do you think this is like a reverse psychology ploy from Ronda Rousey? You know, because Sasha being pretty much the smallest competitor in the women's division on Raw, other than Alexa Bliss. But I think, I don't know. I don't buy this whole Ronda thinks that Sasha Banks is an unsung hero. I think she thinks that she could beat her, and that's why she chose her. So she can go into WrestleMania.
I see. That's why you got to know your history, and that's why it brings up a good point. Ronda Rousey could be employing the John Cena strategy, but what happened to John Cena when he faced Daniel Bryan?
That's the other point that I was going to bring. He did not come out victorious, and you got to be careful when you pick these. But I wouldn't put it past Ronda at this point to try to cruise into WrestleMania as easily as she thinks she can.
Well, with what Wire just said, laying that out, the strategy of Ronda Rousey and how this is all going down, I think the likely scenario at the end of this match at the Royal Rumble is Randy Orton's going to RKO Sasha Banks out of nowhere after she wins and then take her title.
I hope they line up some sort of special guest referee for this match. Stephanie McMahon, special guest referee.
That was an amazing analogy, and I can't wait. This Royal Rumble card, if you look at it, it's hard to imagine WrestleMania's card being anywhere near this.
This is ridiculous how stacked this is. Two back-to-back pay-per-views that are amazingly stacked with matches. I cannot believe this.
And there are two fucking Royal Rumbles. There are two of them. There are two on this card.
Whoever complained about these the brand splits and all that moose to mark needs to shut the fuck up, because look at the matches we're getting, the quality of opportunities, the title matches that make sense. I mean, this is amazing, and I can't wait. I'm going to be there, Long Island. This is going to be the greatest moment of my life.
The only thing, this card's great as is, but one thing I'm hoping they add to this, Joe Coffey versus Pete Dunne rematch for the NXT UK Championship.
I'll take a Walter versus Peter Dunne match as well. Why not? Just for fun. Sure. I'll take anything. This is going to be great. And you can't even look over the women's side of SmackDown Live. That was decided over this last week as well. And to be honest, not the person I thought was going to win this match. I love Becky Lynch, but I definitely thought it was going to be Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, it's Becky and Asuka, and who knows what happens in the Rumble now with Charlotte's probably going to be in it, and Sasha Banks won't be in it. Ronda Rousey won't be in it. This is really Charlotte's Rumble to win, but we'll get into talking and breaking it all down, Brainiacs. Don't forget, we have so much rumbling to do. The epic, biggest Brainbuster radio show of the year is coming up. The Royal Rumble episode right here. And Brainiacs, tell your friends, make sure they subscribe so they get that one because you're not going to want to miss it. Nobody does the Royal Rumble bigger and better than Brainbuster Radio each and every single year. And we've been doing it for over a decade. Oh my goodness. Wired. It's almost time to go. Any news we miss? Anything I miss here?
I think we covered pretty much all the key points. I can't.
Honor Reign Supreme obviously happened. We'll recap that when Triple J's back. He really loves talking Ring of Honor, so we'll do that next week with him. And of course, we'll get into NXT UK Takeover coming up, NXT Takeover Phoenix coming up, which
that part's pretty much set. I want to say too.
Yeah, and that logo. Have you seen the snake logo for that show? It is cool. Some of the best graphics we've seen in 2019. But we'll be getting into all that coming up as well, Brainiacs. So those are your headlines for this week. Without further ado, if you're ready, Wired, I'm ready to get bloody.
Let's do it, man.
Brainiacs, right now, falls, count. Oh, excuse me. I should do this the right way for this episode, right? Falls count anywhere. Falls count anywhere.
Brainiacs, it is I, a man called Wired, and I want to be serious here for a moment, if I can. We've disappointed you. It's been a rough year. It's been a rough 2018. We are now in 2019, and I want to let you guys all know that we're listening. We're listening to all of you. We are no longer going to bring you the same matches. We're going to bring you fresh matches. No longer are we going to bore you with the same content over and over again. This is your Brainbuster Radio. This is your show. And with that said, I want to stipulate that there are no more automatic rematches in Brainbuster Radio. And therefore, yes, Brainiacs, you asked for it. There is no Brainbuster Radio Royal Rumble this year. A man called Wired is the reigning, defending Royal Rumble champion. And the Brainbusters have not done anything to deserve a rematch, and therefore canceled. Nixed. Goodbye. See you next year.
What? I'm gonna forget or try to process that.
Long Island.
Process that, Brainiacs, and just get to what I had planned to say. What? You get what? All right. All Elite Wrestling is coming, Brainiacs. Double or Nothing in Las Vegas. More shows after that. Some big names already announced. And if you're like some of the people who are trying to say, well, this just seems like a super indie or like another wannabe, Impact Wrestling or a Jeff Jarrett type deal. This is not. You have to respect one thing in the professional wrestling business above all else, and that is money, the dollars. Because the cons have the dollars, All Elite Wrestling makes sense. All Elite Wrestling is not some fly-by-night ex-WWE guy trying to branch off and be his own booker. This is not some sports company trying to dip a toe into pro wrestling. This is very powerful men giving money to very innovative, creative, and hardworking professional wrestlers, and they are going all in with this All Elite Wrestling. And when you get someone like Chris Jericho, who is one of the, not just best performers and most exciting names and fun guys to follow, but one of the shrewdest businessmen in all the sport, a guy who only does what he wants and only does what makes sense and what makes dollars, you have to respect All Elite Wrestling. And with that said, if you're not All Elite, there's still time. I know it's going to take time to grow on you. No one's going to fault you for jumping on the bandwagon late. Become All Elite and get ready. Go double or nothing. Go all in, because that is how you get the most bang for your buck. Wait, Wired, what the hell did you say?
This show is over.
No, it's not over yet. What did you were saying Rumble this year?
Yeah, what does that mean? No Brainbuster Radio. There's no automatic rematches, Long Island. Did you not see the memo? It went. Hey, look here. I'm going to forward to you right now. Hold on 1 second. You should get it right now. Hold on.
You've got mail.
There you go. Check your email. See that Marburger memo went out. No automatic rematches. This is it's what it is. I get to punish you guys all over again. Is basically what's happening.
No, I'm going to have to say that we're going to end the show now. We're going to have a whole meeting together, the Brainbusters, the Marburgers. We're going to go to corporate. We're going to hash this out, Wired.
It's not about you. It's about the people and what they
Brainiacs,
want. And they don't want the same stale old matches every single year. So we're canceling this year's match, and we're giving them something different, which is nothing.
Brainiacs,
this show is over.
Don't let Wired air his dirty laundry and grievances with corporate on the air, and don't let that disturb you. Next week, we'll have more answers on this matter. Next week, we'll have some Ring of Honor talk. Next week, we'll have more Royal Rumble, NXT TakeOver previews, and we're gonna go hard after this issue, though. Trust me, Brainiacs, you're gonna forget what Wired said. We're gonna have big things for you for the Royal Rumble. Trust me.
You just sound like the same boring old Long Island IC from last year. You're not evolving with the times. We're gonna have to address this issue off air, Long Island. Not the issue about the Rumble, the issue of you.
Well, we're gonna have a lot of hashing out to do right now. Brainiacs, the show's over. Tweet it, read it, tout it, shout it, be all about it at the Brainbusters. And if you let us know who you side with on what Wired just said. I have a feeling you're going to be with the rest of the Brainbusters. I don't see anyone siding with this goof. Until next week, a very crucial week for 2019 in Brainbuster Radio. For the Sultan of Social Media man called Wired. For Dr. Mil Calzones, Jumpin' Jacob J, Vin Man, Moose the Mark on the internet gimmicks, and Long Island Iced Tea. I'm Long Island Iced Tea saying, I've gotta get out of here and watch some programs.